Hello, collectors. Welcome to the For Collectors live stream. I am John, the 3D80s Kid, your host for this evening. We have gathered a panel of YouTubers who are all headed to the National and are super excited to talk about it. So let's have fun talking the National.
Welcome to For Collectors.
All right, here we all are, an esteemed panel of folks and Chris. So, welcome, guys.
Welcome.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
All right, starting around the horn here, we've got Eddy's Cardboard Chaos. Welcome, Eddy.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Great to have you. Then Jason, the Everyday Card Collector, is here.
Thanks, John, for having me on. Hey, guys, how's it going?
It's going good. And then we got Craig Campbell of Pastor Craig's Vintage Cards.
Hey, John, how you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Doing well. Dave in the center square, Legends of the Dugout.
Thank you, John, for having me on.
All right. And a guy is unfamiliar to the channel there, Sammy Thunder. Hey, how's it going? It's been a while.
What's up?
And the guy that's on everyone's live stream, it's none other than Orlando, a collector's dream.
Hello, everyone. I'm here. Thanks for having me on.
And then Chris from Missouri, was decided to let him on. I know he begged a lot. So,
well, John, I'm not always the smartest guy in the room, but man, it surely seems like
it. Whatever makes you feel better in your own mind, you go with that. So. All right, let's say hello to the chat out there. We got Andrew Deutsch has been around waiting for this thing. We got Keegan's come over. Steven with a PH, welcome. Peter B. We've got Vintage Sport Flips, Peacemaker Cards, Turkey Cards, the Penny Sleever for all of your penny sleeving and top loader needs. Ruben Snyder. Someone's having a little technical difficulties there. Larry getting in.
There's Eddie.
There we go.
Yeah.
Billy Joe.
Sorry, my
everybody.
Network's bugging on me. I'm good now. Thank you.
You're good, man. You're good. This is For Collectors, where the Wi-Fi is always strong.
Absolutely.
Where we can Brady Bunch a stream for anyone.
Listen, man, you got two engineers here in the For Collectors group. You got John, and myself.
If you can't figure out where to point, then it's only John, Sammy.
As long as Pepino's not running the show, we're good.
All right. Oh, we've just arrival of Mr. Commenter Extraordinaire, Mooki Chilson. As well as Brian over at Hodges 1455. So
Mookie's the smartest man in YouTube. He's the smartest man in YouTube land.
He said he's watching this with his family. I don't know how this is entertaining, like family food.
My wife and children don't even watch my own channel, so I'm pretty certain that's a lie.
I've seen the Mooki room, man. I've been in the Mooki room. It is filled with gems. Absolutely filled with gems. And the pinhole corkboard of fame, I guess you can call it that.
That's phenomenal.
Now that'd be something special to see in person.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, we met up and we went to a card show in Jersey, and it was like 95% modern, and then you have like 5% vintage. But we were able to find some good stuff. And Mooki found like, what was it, a 56 Topps maze? You got it for like $50 or $55 or something.
Wow.
I was like, yep. I mean, listen, the thing was pretty beat, but it was, it didn't have the pinhole, but if Mooki wanted to, he could make it a pinhole.
He doesn't do that, though.
No, he doesn't. He looks for pinholes.
Yeah, he doesn't artificially pinhole them.
He actually got mad at me. He didn't get mad at me, but he gave, like, I could tell when he looked at me, because I was set up at a table in Garfield, New Jersey, and the guy next to me had this pinhole Koufax rookie. And so I'm like, hey, my buddy Mooki, he loves pinhole stuff. And Mooki looked up at me like, why are you telling him that? Don't tell him
He
that.
raises the price.
You're killing the vibe of what I'm paying for this stuff. Stop.
That's right. That's right.
I was like, Mooki, I'm so sorry, man. I honestly, like, I wasn't trying to mess you up on that deal. And he was like, oh, it's okay, Sammy. I wasn't really going to try to get it. You know,
Mookie, for that price, I'll just do my pinhole myself and pick up bad work.
Right.
I think the guy wanted like $400 or $500 for it or something like that. And I don't know. I mean, whatever. Mookie, he was cool. He was,
Sure.
he
So I
All
understand. I do understand there's a topic tonight. What is this topic? Is there a show going on or something that I'm not aware of?
There's some kind of show going on. You know,
Yeah,
I wanted to bring something totally original to the YouTube space here that
Right.
no one else is talking about at all.
Right.
So I figured let's talk the national because
All right.
Surprise,
you
surprise.
can't hear about it anywhere else. So
Right. Now everybody on the panel here, I assume, has been to a national. Is that correct?
Yes.
I am
Yeah.
a national virgin at this point.
Oh, you are. That's right. That's
Same
right.
here, first one for me too.
Really, Craig, for you as well, huh, Craig?
Yeah, first one.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Wow, that's crazy.
Well, we'll talk slow for you guys then.
Yeah. Please do.
Hey,
So I
Wear
guess,
comfortable shoes.
yeah.
don't bring
yeah,
any
exactly.
water. Bring a lot of beer.
Right.
Right.
No
I don't-
wall.
John, I don't
watched
mean to hijack. I don't
Caesar's tip video. So I'm good.
Yes. I don't mean to hijack it, but like, what is your expectation, like Craig and John, since this is your first time?
Yeah, like for me, I think it's going to be like overwhelming that first day. You know what I mean? And I'm kind of glad I don't have like a big card that I'm really pursuing. So I'm going to be able to kind of take it in a little bit, you know, and I kind of want to follow some of the guys like maybe Drew, Vintage Drew, and Matt, of course, because he's an Aaron guy and a Spawn guy, and so I kind of want to run with them guys a little bit and see what we can find. But yeah, I'm just kind of take it in all on that first day,
Sure.
and not try to get overwhelmed. You know.
John, you
I
blew
think
you
we
blew the
fought.
bank already, so now it's just a party for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's almost easier for me that way because now there's no pressure of finding my specific card. It's just hanging out and having a good time. I mean, my only budget
You got to help
that I
us find
will
our
have
card.
on cards is going to be brought by Chris, right, Chris?
Yeah.
Well, we still got to finish that trade we never finished.
You owe
Now-
$15, Chris. $15.
Jesus, John, he hasn't paid you yet. If he don't pay you, I'll just give you the money when I get there.
Don't say nothing, John. Get double.
Right? You know, Kansas is always covering for Missouri, anyways.
There you go. There you go.
He's playing on the fact that I'm old and bad memory. I sent him a package not too long ago. I got that down, but I don't know how close we are to being finished.
Since it's
You need
been
to
so
find-
long, Chris, it has interest.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, there was that remaining cash portion out of that second trade that never got finalized. So
Yeah, and yeah, we'll chat later. We'll chat what you did to me later.
We'll give you a free hat, John.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Oh, that's right, man. You need to get your Chris from Missouri cap.
that's right.
I'm bringing a few of them.
Yeah.
well, that's
mine.
my grail that I want from the national is one of those. So
It's got
Another
that.
thing I'm looking for is all the guys that are bringing stuff to sell or to trade, like the buy sell trade night. And I'd rather buy a card like I saw B-Roth has a 54K line, and I'd rather buy that card from B-Roth than from some guy that I don't know. So I'm kind of like I want to save some money for buying from each other. That way, like if Orlando's got something, I'm actually helping Orlando out instead of some dealer that I don't know. So
That's
I do
definitely
agree with
something I preach, man. Listen, buy your cards from a dealer. Have the experience, enjoy it, because I mean that's a part of it. But at the same time, absolutely. I mean, you want to try to find a good deal, like the best deal possible, and I think we're always trying to help each other out in any way we can. So that to me is just a perfect opportunity to be able to, work with somebody else to be able to find your card that you want. Instead of paying more from a dealer, you have, as you mentioned, like B-Roth, I've known him for a while now, so he's as good as they come.
Yeah. I just
Here's-
I was slow. I was on a slow boat to China when Rick Oddball Cards put out his video,
Oh.
and I sent him an email yesterday. I'm like, hey Rick, do you still have this? And I talked to somebody who said all of that's already gone, man.
Wow.
But I thought I'd give it a shot anyways. He's like, no, it's gone. So then our good friend Orlando put a video out yesterday morning, and I think I was like the third viewer, and I shot him a text shortly after viewing it. I'm like, hey Orlando. So I wasn't gonna miss out on something else I really wanted. So there's just no way.
The funny thing is, Jason, I got an email about an hour after yours.
Really?
The same card. I had to say, oh no.
Yeah, well, that was
Yeah.
my thing. So not only did I text you, Orlando, then I commented
Yes.
on the video. I'm like, hey, I just sent you a text.
Yes.
So as far as
Orlando's like,
people
oh no,
going,
I got offered more money.
right. Sorry, Jason. He gave me an extra 50. You're out of luck.
Yeah.
so having a big target card. I mean, obviously, Sammy and I recently picked up big cards ourselves. So if you could pick up your ultimate thing there, you probably have a list of a few things, but what would be your ultimate pickup at the show coming up? Starting down in the corner with Eddie.
Yeah, first off, am I being heard okay, or am I still glitching?
You sound fine.
Oh, you're good, Eddie.
Okay, great. Well, hopefully I look good too, but that's
Always.
automatic.
Always.
Awesome.
So now my video I did the other day where I was on a walk and I shared my Grail card, that would be the ultimate card, but again, that's like a goal that's a couple years away. So for this show, I actually made a list and I put them into 3 tiers or levels. And of the 4 that are in my top level, I probably most want the 49 leaf Honus Wagner, where he's the old man and he's taking the chaw.
Yeah.
And it was a card that was on the last show I went to was in Atlantic City, and it was on my list then, and I did not see a 1. Anytime I saw a leaf, I asked the dealer if they had a Wagner, no go. And fast forward to almost 2 years, and Midlife Cards is showing off cards at Strongsville or cases, and I saw 4 of them. So I'm a little, I don't know. I wrote down like some information on like dealers, and at least one of them has a booth at the National. So I'm going to go right over there right away to see if maybe they still have it. I don't know, but that's probably, the 3 cards on there. That's probably the top one, 3 or 4.
Cool. And while we're saying this in the chat, if you've got some big card that you're eyeing, go ahead and throw it up, and we'll share it on screen here. So, but Chris, you got something?
So I started doing these lists for the National 3 weeks ago, and I've been paring them down of what I want. And so as of last night, that after a drink or 6, I was able to write it down this morning. I'm going after a 1921 Oxford Confectionery Babe Ruth.
Wow.
And if I can find one, I might be done. I'll pick up some other little stuff, but that's big on my list. The 52 Jackie Robinson, I want to pick up. I'm gonna leave there with a 1941 play ball Joe DiMaggio. So those are all big cards, but I'm leaving there with a Joe DiMaggio 41. So that's my big cards that I'm going after.
Good stuff.
Until I have a few drinks tonight and think about the same thing, and then it change tomorrow.
I get that.
Orlando, what about you?
Me? It's a matter of how much money I can get together. So far, I've been doing pretty good with some of the cars that I've sold. So I'm looking to pick up a Walter Johnson. The one that I like to get, of course, is the Ramley, but that's way over my price range at this moment, unless I can, find some more stuff to move. But I'm looking at the portrait, maybe the T206 portrait, Walter Johnson. That's a nice card. I'm also looking at some Cuban cards. You know, I'd like to get the second year Martin de Higo Caramelo Deportivo. And that's Mangini has that card. That's a tough card. It's the second year. And just kind of looking for some pre-war stuff. With my Goodwin Champion set, I'm always looking to upgrade some of those, and especially the tennis players. You know, I'm having some problem getting those. Are the first tennis cards ever made, and I have the whole set, but some of those are graded in 2 or 3, and I like to get a little bit upgrade on those. And other than that, if I can't find any of that, I'm going to kind of shift over maybe to some of my football. And, you know, I've got some old football stuff. So I'd like to pick up, I don't know, something like maybe the Luke Rogney or Bronco Nagurski in very low grade, if I can come up with something like that. So that's kind of my big picture stuff. I'm open. I'm the type of guy that I'll go in there, and if that card jumps at me, then that's the one I'll go for, you know. But I just don't know. I just won't know until I get there.
All right. How about you, Dave?
I need to pull the trigger and get a Ryan rookie. I need to get that. I know I'm not leaving the National without an old Judge card. Haven't decided on who, but something nice, you know, eye appeal on that. I was also thinking somewhere in a, you know, decent price on a Walter Johnson also, maybe. So you never know. You know, last year's National took me a different route. I just went squirrel mode. So
yeah.
And I'm going to hang out with everybody and see if I get another free card.
I got a few old Judge cards. I'm looking. I may move one of them. So I'll see. I'll talk to you. But yeah, hang out with me. You got a free card last time.
Yeah.
Now, Craig, did you say you still had budget for something or not?
Yeah, I'm looking really for an Eddie Matthews, like the Home Run Derby card.
Okay.
I'd love to get that. There's also a card called Hocus Focus.
Yes.
And they're pretty rare.
I have one.
If I could find one, I would probably jump on that. And then I'm just looking, like I have this, the Matthews, the Heartland Trophy, and I've got the Babe Ruth Heartland Trophy, the original. So I'm looking, I'd love to find like the Warren Spahn or the Hank Aaron or the Mickey Mantle, those original from like 58, 59. I would love to get that. And then just even stuff like this, oddball stuff like this is an Eddie Matthews ticket for an autograph from 1990. And, you know, it's from 1990. It was $10 to get an autograph, 15 for a bat, you know, and this was in Massachusetts. And just oddball stuff like that I'm just kind of looking for, which, you know, that was like $10. But so I've got a lot of things I'm looking for. But, yeah, the Matthews at Home Run Derby, that would be the big one. That would be the big one.
All right. How about you, Jason?
I'm kind of in Orlando's boat. It depends what the budget is. I'm still up in the air on how much is coming with me. If the budget's as big as I want it to be, I was looking at potentially a 1909 Colgan's Chip Cy Young. I'm interested in a couple of Cracker Jacks, Ray Schulk possibly, you know, Eddie Collins possibly, depending on what the budget is. Maybe the 53 Satchel Paige. That's another one on the list. If the budget's smaller, I'll probably just fulfill a bunch of the projects I'm working on. I think regardless, I'm going to go home with a 56 Jackie Robinson, regardless of what size the budget is. That's kind of the must-have in my mind right now. And then possibly to pair that off 56 Ted Williams as well. Yeah, you know, I'm the same way. I love it. I heard it once on Greg's channel on Midlife Sports Cards. I think he was talking to Shane Shoebox Legends. It's a shotgun approach. I could go there. I could rent all 30 cards and not buy one of them, and come home with something completely different. Yeah. So and when the opportunity's there, right? I really wanted to come home with a 1932 Bulgaria Sport Schmeling Ruth, but I was too slow on the draw for that. So, that's another one. Actually, the Sinella Ruth is a low grade, 2.5 Sinella Ruth. Might be something I'll take a peek at.
Shotgun approach was kind of leading in, but my next question to people, and also at the same time, Vintage
John,
Card Collector threw it up on screen. Is people looking for something other than baseball?
Well, John, actually,
Sammy.
I'll mention I do. So amazingly, I still have a budget for the national.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize.
Because you're rich, Sammy. What are you gonna get?
I'm not.
What are you getting? A 51 Maze now and an SGC 5?
He's mortgaging his house already. Come on.
Listen, man, you guys. I've seen what you guys have. Okay, it's like I'm not going to go there. I've seen what you guys have. Let's just stop there. So just mention really brief to make vintage card collector happy. I will mention that I am keeping my eye out for a 1968-69 Topps test of Bill Russell, if it's there. Maybe. It's not at the forefront, but it would be nice to find. Since I've been buying nothing but Mays lately, I need to take a break. So I was thinking about looking at the 1913 Pastime Novelty of Christy Mathewson. It's like a little strip card that he has. If I can't find that, and I think these are reasonably priced. The 1914 Polo Grounds game card of Christy Mathewson would be a nice one to find as well. This one's a little more up there. 1921 WUNC self-developing card of Christy Mathewson would be a nice find. But those are, I don't know what they're going. Like last one I saw that was sold was in 2016. So we'll see what happens. The 1940 play ball of Christy Mathewson would be a fun find because I think those you can regularly find pretty easily. On obviously my 1968 Bazooka of Tom Seaver, just the strip, not the full box. So keeping my eye. I wanted to provide myself a nice healthy list so that I'm not just going crazy trying to find just one particular thing.
Sure.
Well, about the only thing that's on my list of, assuming I get the payment from Chris that's overdue, was the 51 Topps Ashburn was what I was going to try to find because those do not come around that much on eBay or anything. So, because
Sure.
the blue backs are less common. So.
I am looking at other sports. Big card would be the Sports King Red Grange in a very low grade in a 1. That's a big card even in a 1 for me.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, but besides that, I collect it all. So if I see any, if the budget's a little bit smaller and I go, as Dave said, you go a little squirrel, you just start picking up a lot of stuff that you want. I could certainly see myself picking up a bunch of vintage basketball and maybe some vintage Bears football and then, rounding it out with 59, 56 Topps or something like that. Regardless, I'm not coming home with just one card, even if the budget's big. So that's not even feasible. So,
yeah, for me, I'd like to find a 62 Bart Star in a PSA because it's a black border card, and I don't like the black border in the SGC holder. Like a 71, I'm looking for a 71K line too, but I want it in the PSA because the black on black just does not do it for me at all. But if I could find a 62 Bart Star Hornig Taylor, those are my favorite cards because that's the year I was born, and so I would definitely snag that. So
Yeah, I there's no way I'm going to start doing it now, but I know I have already got wheels churning in my head as far as doing basketball and football at some point also.
yeah.
The similar style with one card of like legendary players type of thing.
I'll tell you what, it's a lot cheaper than baseball. Both of them,
A lot
quite
cheaper,
honestly.
yeah.
I mean, you could really get in on the low end. I mean, vintage basketball in particular. I'm stunned at what you can get those cards for still to this day.
Oh yeah, when you don't pick, say, the rookie card, then yeah, they're bargains.
Right.
Vintage basketball is like the redheaded stepchild, man. It just does not get a lot of love.
I love it. I love it.
I love it too. That's why I won't sell my Tall Boy set because it's just too cheap, I think. So
Yeah.
I'm holding on to it.
I mean, aside from the Jerry Sloan rookie card, those are great looking cards.
Oh,
So-
Jerry Sloan is horrible.
Hey guys, not to change the subject here, but you guys remember? Are you guys old enough to remember Brady Bunch back in the day?
Of
Yeah.
course, yeah.
And there was a time that Greg had 2 dates at one time. Remember that? And he was trying to go to one. Well, I just caught Eddie's being on 2 live channels at one time right now. He's on our live channel and he's on somebody else's live channel. He keeps coming back. So, you know,
I did not think you would catch me.
Oh,
You're crafty.
So
Yeah.
Eddie is the live the vintage live prostitute. Is that what you're telling me?
no, he's Greg Brady. That's who he is.
Greg Brady.
Yeah. I would look good in a perm too. Not on my great.
That just means
I'm
you're
gonna one up
popular.
Orlando because Orlando's never gone for that yet. He's just on every one during every hour. But never
Greg Brady was like Johnny Bravo,
probably
right?
looked-
He was,
We looked like the
Yes.
beginning of the Brady Bunch when they had all the guys around. You know, they had them all in like a Hollywood Squares thing.
Uh-huh.
Did everyone get to show or speak about their one card they want to leave with? Or
We did.
Yes.
You were busy on another live.
okay. I wanted to show. I pulled out a Hocus Focus to show people. Pastor Craig mentioned it, and I have my Harvey Haddock's Hocus Focus here.
Hold on.
Where's it at? There it is. Work on the glare.
yeah, that's cool.
Okay.
Awesome.
So basically, what these were like little undeveloped photographs. And what you would do is you would get it wet with like some spit or something, and there's a little developing pouch that you would slide it in, and it would develop the photograph. And so I bought this when the market was at its most extreme after COVID, but I don't regret it because they just don't pop up. I think I've seen one other one since then, and it went for quite a bit less, but I have it, so.
Yeah.
No one's taking it from me.
I thought I saw
Imagine
the
those
comments,
cards now during the COVID boom. Yeah, just put a little spit. It'd be the Hawk 2 on it, and then pass it around. Pass it around and develop it.
Someone had to do it. Someone had to do it.
I thought I saw in the comment where Stu said he saw maybe a Jackie Robinson one at a show in
Yes.
Dallas. I think
There is a Jackie. Yeah.
I think he said he was eyeballing
Yeah.
one at the show. So
There's some big names in the set. There's a Ruth. And then there's also like Americana. I know there's like a Billy the Kid and people like that. Annie Oakley, I think.
I just want Andrew to be happy. There you
You
go,
selling
Andrew.
that? You're not selling that, are you, Sam?
No, I'm keeping it. Yeah.
I just picked up 2 of the commons out of that set today.
Don't tell Mike Moynihan. I this came in a PSA and I slabbed it over to SGC.
Speaking of vintage basketball, I'm looking at a lady. Actually, her husband had passed away. He was a basketball coach in the local area, but I've looked at the collection once, and he had a complete set from 70, 71 all the way to 81, 82 of basketball. Every set. And,
Really? So you got the
so
Irving rookie. That's the Julius Irving rookie.
That would
72.
have Julius Irving rookie. That would have them all, yeah. And they were in pretty good shape too. And I looked at the collection real briefly. I saw a 66 mantle and a 66 Kopax.
Wow.
And there were a ton of like mid-70s football cards. So I'm thinking there's got to be some Walter Paytons in there probably, or Dan Fouch
Could be.
rookies.
Yeah, 76 was Peyton's rookie, right? 76.
Right. And
Yeah.
we talked like a month ago, so she's not in a hurry to sell, And
Oh man.
they told me I had first dibs.
Look
on
at this
it.
guy.
There goes
Sorry
the
to
neighborhood.
downgrade the program.
There it is.
I can't do
All
it,
right.
man. Forget it.
Hey,
How many-
Sammy, give me that $10 you owe me, Sammy.
Say what?
Give me that $10 you owe me, Sammy. You said I was going to be the ugliest guy on here.
Why you gotta throw shade like that, man? That's that
He
nothing
needs the $10 to pay John.
How many guys left for Eddie's other live now that Greg jumped on?
Listen, Greg knows. Greg has mentioned this openly that he has a face for radio, and he's mentioned that multiple times.
I 100% agree.
All right,
Scott
sir.
got it beautifully.
I'm good. I feel like I'm crashing. I ran a little long with some things I had going on, so but I wanted to join. So
You were on the thumbnail. You're obligated to do it.
I know. Yeah, for sure. So I don't know what you've covered, but I'm looking forward to getting caught up. I interrupted somebody though.
Santa Petty, man, came with gifts.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, Petty.
Yeah.
Santa Petty. Where did he come with after he boozed up his reindeer?
We went out to a real nice dinner. He brought me this card.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then he brought me this card.
Jeez. Getting all the Willie Mays.
All the maze.
You know, it's funny the way has he been in here tonight at all?
No, we haven't seen him.
So
it's his birthday, isn't it? His birthday.
It is his birthday.
Yeah.
It is his birthday. So there were 2 card shows in this area, and one of them was a big one, and I set up at it. And Petty thought that one was yesterday, so he booked his flight for that one. And then I was like, dude, you booked it for the wrong flight, for the wrong day. So he ended up going, I'll come up anyway. And it's like a little show. It's like an 80-table show, but it has lots of good stuff. So I literally picked him up from the airport, which if you watched my video, you saw me picking him up. And we went straight to the show, hung out at the show. Then we went to a brewery, hung out at the brewery. Then we went straight to dinner. Had like an hour and a half, 2-hour dinner, and then I brought him back to the airport.
That's incredible.
Wow.
Yeah,
He gave you the cards to give to Sammy, right?
Exactly. No, man, like I was gonna say, Greg and I are
twins.
There you go, man.
Yeah, we were texting. We were texting about that last night.
Yeah.
Both have a SGC 2 now.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, literally. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating. Mike Petty was in the room literally for 90 seconds before he bought that Stan Musial card, which was unbelievable. It was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Oh, it looked
We
beautiful.
were talking about that, how nice it was.
Hey, how's it going, my handsome friend?
Oh, that's good. That is
Hey there,
good.
liver lips. What is this thing? How centered is this thing?
This
So,
looks
Greg-
pretty good. Is that your best price?
Greg, be honest. Be honest. If you and Petty were in high school, would your dad say, "Okay, Greg, you can't hang out with him anymore"?
My dad loves Petty. He absolutely loves Petty, and it was that that was one of the fun things is nobody had met my dad yet, and so Petty got to meet my dad, and my dad went to the brewery with us, and he went to dinner with us, and he was at the show with us, so my dad was right there for everything. But no, I texted him last night, and I was like, "How fun is Mike Petty?" Right, and I'll read you his exact response. I said, Petty's a riot, isn't he? He said, he's got fun written all over him. A truly great guy. Yeah. And he is. He's a great guy. And that's why when some of these people have, spoken out about a couple of things that he said or done, it's like it upsets me because he's such a great guy.
I texted him today. He's enjoying the pool with the family and with drinks and all that, but he is the most generous and truly nicest guy. Yeah. People have no idea because he comes across very brash, and confrontational. But man, the guy.
When I met him in Strongsville, he was like the biggest surprise out of anybody. Via what you see on YouTube versus in person. I mean, night and day. Because he was kind of brash when I first ran into him on YouTube, but like being with him, he was a nice guy.
He's a sweetheart.
I know that this is
play a character.
Yeah,
I know this is going to be a polarizing comment, but when we were at the show, so I see the guys from Sports Card Radio at the shows all the time because they live about a half hour from me, right? And I know everyone has opinions on them, but they're like Petty, where off camera and on camera they're different. And Ryan from Sports Card Radio was at the show, and so I told him that Petty was coming, so he was on the lookout for us. So he came over and said hey, and he was all excited to see Petty. And he's just like, Petty's like, in real life I'm normal, And Ryan's like, yeah, but on the show, like, turn it up even higher, So, but Ryan's the same way. Like, him and Colin are both that way. They're very level-headed, like, they're intelligent guys, but they do a character. It's sort of like Howard Stern, So we all have to, I think, keep that in mind when sometimes people upset us, that their heart might be different than how they come across.
Yes, good point. I missed all that. I don't even know. Was it something that he was on Sports Card Radio, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So they had him on. So he's been a big fan of Sports Card Radio for a long, long time.
Yeah,
and they had an open.
Him and I used to be in the chat all the time on it.
Me too. We're all
Yeah. I watch them sometimes, and I see Orlando in there too. And so Petty clicked on their link because they had an open link one night, and they put him on. And he came in guns a-blazing like he does, which is he's having fun and he's excited and he's getting fired up. And he just, sometimes that rubs people the wrong way, but that's just not who he is. He would literally, I told my wife before I went, and she's like, tell me about this guy again. And I'm like, he's literally the guy that would give you the shirt off his back.
Right.
Like, Petty he cares more about you than he cares about himself. Like, he does. He's just a great guy. So
yeah, I enjoy the guns a-blazing. Like, I love that. I love when he's going. Even Mangini, when Mangini rants, that's my favorite Mangini video. Go rant. I just get such a kick out of it. I thoroughly enjoy that.
Yeah.
I love the fact that Petty was losing count on how many beer shots he was taking.
Yeah.
So, like, Theo had to constantly come back in. He's like, I think you're up to 25 shots.
Yeah.
Oh
no, he wanted to do it every minute. I'm saying, you're crazy. He says, yeah, but I want to. But you know what? He wanted to donate money, and he said, let's do it every minute. And he wanted, and he did, and that's how. He's just very, very generous guy.
Absolutely. Oh, by the way, and I don't mean to stray, John. Graig, your friend got an awesome deal on those Aurora Visions.
I know. As soon as we saw them, and Petty and I saw them, and he's like, "Those are in really good shape." So I fired you off a couple I fired you pictures, right? Or did I just ask?
No, you just texted me. I didn't get pics. I just saw those.
Yeah. Look at that. So I was like, "What would a set go for?" And because I was like, "You're the guy that's gonna know." And so then we used that as a gauge for what they were probably worth. And the dealer, the set, it looked like it was the original packaging. And
yeah, they came in a box. Actually, they came in a box, and then they were wrapped in plastic within the box.
Do you have the Warren Spahn one, Jason?
What's that?
Do you have the Warren Spahn?
I do not. I'm about 7 or 8 deep on the 16.
You know what? I've got one here. I'll bring it with me. You can have it.
Oh God, you don't have to do that.
Nah, because I'm never going to collect them. I'm never going to collect them.
I love them. I absolutely love them, and I think the images are fantastic. John just showed the maze, and it's a fabulous image. Now I will tell you this: they're dropping in price. Like, as soon as I talked to you, Graig, I went online. And there's a maze up there. Now it's on auction, so it's still got like 3 days. But the maze is only at like $20. And I'm like, all right, But your friend, if he got all 16 for the price that you described on your video, you're looking at like $10 a record. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
There you go.
So he got the complete set, which was still in the plastic, plus an extra mantle, an extra banks, and an extra Maris. And he got him down to 140.
That's
insane.
That's fantastic.
Damn. He can sell the extras and it comes out free.
Yeah,
that's what we were saying.
Yeah.
And he's in here a lot. He's a real nice guy. His name's Jeremy, and he hung out with us all day too. He went to lunch and everything, drinks with us. He's in here a lot, and I'm trying to get him to go to Strongsville. Yesterday, he's like, "Yeah, I think I'm going to go to Strongsville." He's a really good guy, so. Hopefully I'll get him to start making videos too, but he got a smoking deal for sure.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And you know what? Now I'm doing the 16, which are the 64, and then I want to do the image variants from 62. So the set it's actually going to be 19 for me because there were 3 image variants to include the mantle. Mantle was an image variant, and then Jim Gentile and Rocky Calavito were part of the tests of 62. So, but the Spawn was 62, 64 tests, same image. So, 64 is fine for me if it's the same image.
40. Okay, 14.
14.
Okay.
Yeah, John. Why? Yeah, he's like Dan was very persistent about saying didn't pay 140 for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I paid 20 for mine that's already punched and has rounded corners. So.
Yeah. Now I'm going unpunched is what I'm typically doing, is what I'm trying to do. And decent shape, but I don't want to drag this out on something I'm working on. But that's a cheap way to get into a mantle. That's a cheap way to get into a beautiful maze. I mean, they really are. Those kind of things like the 68 game set. Greg, you do videos like this all the time. How cheap vintage is right now. You can get into complete sets for virtually nothing and have all of these superstars. The 68 game set is like, I think it's like 35 cards or 33 cards.
It's a great set. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The
There's
64 Aurora
Mike
Visions.
Spawn's got a
It's
hole
33
punch.
cards.
Yeah.
Nice.
You want me to bring that for you?
Or
It does have the hole punch.
Oh,
Petty brought this. Petty brought this for my dad.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Nice.
It's a beautiful card. Well, and
That's
I
the
see him for like
last
10 or
card in the
15.
set.
Let me see. Did you say it's
Want to show that
unpunched?
spawn again, Greg?
Yeah, mine's still punched.
Oh, I am looking for. I'll take it. Don't get me wrong, but I'm looking for unpunched is what I'm looking for.
Orlando, you met your villain is here in the chat. A collector's nightmare.
Is that his evil twin?
I love that.
The villain is here, man. Get the fight to the death, man.
All right. Hey.
Hey,
my
look.
friend.
Alter ego. Alter ego.
Alter ego, yeah.
Hey, Jason,
clearly-
Mookie just brought up an interesting point about what the sound is on them, and I know it's like an interview or something, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
What
there's
I
actually a YouTube channel that has all of them
That is
posted.
correct. You can go on YouTube and listen to every single one of them.
It might be cool to have a punched and unpunched of each, so if you wanted to listen to them,
Right.
that could be kind of cool.
Right. Well, actually, there's a gentleman who just started a channel, and I follow him, Mark's Dodger Cards, and he picked up the Drysdale, and he showed it, and he said, "I'm thinking about punching it so I can listen to it." I said, "Just go on YouTube, don't punch it."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Just go on YouTube. You can listen to every single one of them." And they're neat interviews. As I buy them, I listen to them. So I bought the Boyer, I listened to the Boyer, I bought the Mantle, and I'm 7 or 8 into them now at this point. I think I've got the Frank Robinson on its way here already, even though I said I wasn't buying anything, of course. As soon as I got off the text with you, I'm like, all right, I got to go buy another one. So I went out and bought another one. So.
Hey, Greg, that 68 gameplay, did you show a Willie Mays? Was that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, those are nice. I had so many of these here, and I think I owe you, Dave. I'm going to bring a couple for you, too, from last time. But, I had so many of those gameplay cards that were crazy, And I remember my brother in 1960, my older brother, when he was collecting baseball cards. I think they only came in Series 3, I believe.
Yeah, I think they came in Series 3. I remember playing with those cards. I had
My
the whole
brother
set
had
and
tons
more.
of
Yeah,
them. He had
Tons of
so
them.
many of them.
Well, you had one in every pack. They came one in every pack.
Yeah, and there were just so many of them. And I remember they were real little, and he used to let me play with them. I was like 6 years old or 7. He'd dust me up a little bit, but I'd always have them all over the place playing with them.
So guys, we're talking about vintage stuff going down right now, and especially some of those kind of different kind of sets. On Love of the Game auction, they had a 64 Giants or 64 Giants set, and it complete set with 6 of the high numbers they didn't have, or the short prints they didn't have, but it went for $300.
Yeah.
And then they had the 51. They had a complete 1951 redback set with some extra cards, and it went for about the same thing.
Wow.
Do you think? Don't mean to hijack the good questions, but since Sammy and John's not asking anything good,
I'm not hosting tonight, man. Why you man?
but you got it rich. So, but do you think we're going to see that kind of reflection at the National?
No, it's the National. No. Everything will be marked up as a premium, in my opinion.
It seems like, and Dan Vintage Baseball PC brought this up when he got his win from that auction. He was mentioning how Negro League cards are going up, and it seems like a lot of Negro League cards, pre-war stuff, that is kind of shooting through the roof. But the more I guess the traditional stuff that you see from table to table I guess that's seems to be going down. I don't know, man. I mean, I can't really speak on it beyond that.
What kind of dealer are you, Sammy?
Yeah, it seems like it's more like the higher population, later vintage is what's going down.
I just think it's the stuff that has lower pop count seems to be going at a higher at a higher rate. But like for example, like a 64 Maze, I mean, you can seemingly get those easily. I mean, you don't have to rush to get a 64 Maze at the National unless it's a high grade, of course. Then you have to kind of slim your margins down a bit. But
you could also get those are sets. You can get those things at the National. People sell a set.
Right.
The thing is, and they're raw. You get a good deal on those, but you have to look at the condition. And that's really the most important thing on those deals that you get when you buy a whole set. You got to look at the key players because a lot of times people will buy that to break it up. That's how you can make your deals.
I have a hypothesis on that, Chris, and you can tell me that I'm an idiot when I'm done. But if you talk about like a love of the game, or you talk about an REA auction, most of the people that go on those auction sites are pretty serious collectors, right? Generally speaking. And the people who go to the National are pretty serious collectors, generally speaking. But like the card show I was at yesterday, that was a local card show, there was only maybe a handful of people that go to that are going to go to the National. So they were buying a lot. They were the shop, all the tables were busy. I saw a lot of money changing hands. There's a lot happening because this is their National. They're not going to the National. But something like a love of the game, where the people that you're pulling from are the people who are about to go to a show that's going to have everything. It's like, why buy it now? I'm going to see it in person here in a few days. So I think that might have something to do with it. It's just a guess. But again, the show yesterday was really busy, and I talked to several dealers, and they all said, yeah, this is going really well.
Well, then that brings the question, if I was selling a car at Love of the Game, I would think this is a silly time to have an auction if I was giving them the opportunity to sell my card. Wouldn't you think so, Orlando?
Yeah, I think this is right before the National, probably not the best time to be having an auction. But Heritage just had one, and they're having another one coming up now. So, you just never know. The right card, the right collector's going to be looking for it. If I find a card on Love of the Game or on Heritage or any of those, the one that I'm looking for at the National, and it's in the condition and I can get a good deal, I'm going to go for it. I think that, you just never know. Now, for regular cards let's say from the 60s and stuff like that, you can get that anywhere. You don't need to worry about the auction houses for those, unless you're looking at very, very high grade stuff. But when you're looking for rare stuff or pre-war stuff, sometimes you got to go with the auction houses. If it's at it, whatever they have it for sale. If you don't get it at that time, you may never see it again. You may not get it at the National.
So how about, I watched your video this morning, Orlando, which I absolutely loved, and you were showing off some fabulous stuff. And the whole time I was thinking, I want that, I want that, I want that. And I looked down and I was like, oh, it's been up for like an hour and a half. I bet he sold most of this already. So just as like a trial of this, how many of those cards have you now sold, or are they spoken for? And these are, again, rare cards, rare condition, versus a redback set, right? Versus a 64 Giant set.
Right.
Like, how many of those are spoken for and how many aren't?
I sold 7 of the Goodwin Champion cards already.
Exactly.
I sold the T207 card already, and I sold one of my Leaf Premiums to
a very handsome man. That handsome man
right
bought that
here.
Leaf Premium.
I had a feeling. I had a feeling when I saw him on a. There, did you see in my video the T206 of his?
Yes, I wanted. Yeah, so I bought mine at Strongsville. The front of that one was phenomenal, and it was $400, I think. That was a must. That'd
So,
been.
but that kind of proves the point, doesn't it, Orlando? Like you outsold Love of the Game, because the stuff that you have is very low pop, very high grade for what it is, and Love of the Game isn't going to sell a 64 Giant set right before the National.
You're right. I've sold 7. I've got 5 more to go, and I already got a couple that I've already gotten questions on already. So I may even sell them all before the National at this point.
What's left for sale? I want to see if mine is still there.
Oh yeah, I'd like to know too. I was seeing my mom all day. I didn't see this.
Let's see if we can call Tibbs before Greg does.
So I've got the Oro, who's the pool player, and this one's in a 4. And I'm asking.
And that one was 800, 400.
400 for that one. I've got the Beach. It's Beach. He's an oarsman. This is a beautiful card. This is the one that. This is in a
Dylan.
2.5, and Dylan has this. And then I have one more left. There's only 9 graded by PSA, and that's 300 for that one. Then I've got this one, which is the billiards guy, in a 3. This is a beautiful card too, in great condition here. I don't know if you can see it. And that I was asking 350 for that. All these are really nice. The backs are nice. Just, it's just they're nice cards, but I already have them. So this is the in a 5, which is really, you don't see these in a 5. And this is the bicyclist. You can see him with the it's the big wheel bicycle there. And nice yellow background. I'm asking 450 for this one. And I've got the pedestrian, which is one of my favorites. It's right along the beach there. It's got like a boat in the background, also in a 5. Let's see that. God, I hate this. Too much glare, but that's there.
There you go.
And that's the pedestrian, and I'm also asking 450 for those, because these are in a 5, so in that condition. So that's what I've got left. I sold all of the boxers already, and I sold the Isaac Murphy, and I sold all those other ones already, and I sold this one already, and a few others.
What about the 59 Clemente? Did you sell that, Orlando?
I got the 59 Clemente. I'm asking and it's a nice 4.5. I'm asking $150 for this Clemente.
Are you bringing that to the National?
Yeah, I'm bringing it. Unless somebody wants it, and I'll sell it, or somebody wants it, I'll just take it over there. So for that,
what are you doing? What are you doing with all those Jordan cards, Orlando? Weren't you bringing a bunch of Jordan cards?
I'm bringing them all. Lou Rock said that he was interested in those, so I'm going to go ahead and just bring the whole pile of them. I probably got about, 40, 50 different Jordan cards, and Lou Rock said he was interested in a bunch of them. Whatever I don't sell or trade there, I'm going to go ahead and just leave them at ComC. But I'm thinking I could trade some of those at you guys, or the kids that are in the trade nights.
I'll pick through some of that too. Well, I'll let Lou Rock go first, but there's a couple that I saw that I want.
I got a Fleer Metal and a few other ones in there.
Yeah, I think you had a Crunch Time in there, which is not a high dollar card. I just don't have it.
All those are anywhere from like $4 to maybe $20.
Right.
So just to mention, I will also be selling as well. I have the huge consignment that I'm going to be bringing a box of some pretty good raw stuff. But I have some stuff in front of me. I can show you guys what I have. This is just a small sample that I was able to bring with me right now. I'm going to be selling the Willie Mays 52 Bowman. It's a pretty nice copy of a one. So, I have the price on them, but obviously,
Wait, can I see that again, Sammy?
Yeah.
He's got $7, Jason.
Yeah. $3. I'll give you 3 PBRs for that bad boy. Are you kidding me? That's how's the back look, Sammy? Is the back
Hold out for 3.5?
Wow. Okay. Okay, I didn't know you were. I was totally unaware of that. Is that the first time you're showing that one?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Yogi Berra. This one just came. This one I submitted at Strongsville. So 3. Yeah, got a mantle, a nice looking 3. Back's a little, but got a Brooks Robinson.
That's a great looking card.
I love that card.
Nicely centered.
Here's some T206 portraits. We've got Roger Bresnahan. One of my favorites from that time frame because of how much of a jerk he could be, Clark Griffith.
So, Sammy, shoot a picture of that Clark Griffith to Dylan. Dylan might want that.
Oh, Dylan may want it.
Yeah.
Who's that one, Sammy?
Clark Griffith batting.
Okay.
And got the Tris speaker as well.
That's his rookie card.
Right.
Yeah.
And this one, I'm hesitant, but I'm
Oh no.
Where's Dylan?
Is that the one you had last year?
Yeah, you got to take that and get it regraded.
I texted him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sammy, is that the one you had last year? I was thinking about buying from you.
maybe. No, I had one that was in a 3 last year.
Okay.
But
That is perfectly centered, that one.
That's the one that I heard. I'll pay 6 price for the 5 card.
Oh, easy.
What are you asking on that one?
So I will be asking price, like a 6 price on this.
Okay.
I haven't really come up with it yet, so I'm just kind of
Is that one that
formulating.
you're going to maybe crack out, Sammy? You were talking about maybe cracking out, resubmitting that.
I feel weird about cracking. I feel weird about cracking it out. I mean, I know it makes sense to do it, but I would try to just pitch it back. If I didn't get the price I'm looking for, then I would just try to pitch it back in and try to get a 6. And just because I think, honestly, I mean, I've seen some of the 6s that are on there and that have sold, and just the centering is not nearly, I think, as good as this.
The price difference is that big too, huh, Sammy? Between the 5 and 6.
Yeah, I think it's pretty. It's not. I mean, I wouldn't say it's substantial, but it's it's a pretty nice jump. But yeah, that one. That's kind of essentially what I have right now with me, but I have some more raw stuff from the consignment that I'll be bringing with me. A lot of Mays, a lot of Clemente, a lot of Aaron, stuff like that.
If you have any 56 raw stuff, bring it with you.
Any what?
56?
I think I do. I have a whole spreadsheet of what's been sold and what hasn't been sold, so I can send that over to you.
Okay.
You see this, Jason? What Rick's posting? Read the comment.
Add some more cards to sell.
He's going to be selling some of his museum collection.
Stay tuned. All right,
Well,
Rick.
I'm getting some money, Rick.
The stuff he showed was freaking phenomenal. There were about 5 things. I was like, if he hasn't sold that by Thursday night, I'm going to hit him up.
I was late to the party. I texted him on one card, and it was long gone. I had talked to somebody who bought a couple items off of him, and I said, "Hey, do you know if he still has that Bulgaria 32 Ruth?" And he said, "I don't know. Most of his stuff is gone already." And this was like the day after. I'm like, oh, geez. So I of course, I think I sent him the email last night at like 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, "Hey, Rick, you still got that Ruth?" He's like, "No." So
I called Rick, or I texted Rick just maybe a day after that, and I said, "Hey, I'm interested in about 3 or 4 of those cards." And he said, "Well, Chris, I think those 3 or 4," without even asking me what I wanted. He texted me, said, "Chris, I think all 3 or 4 of those cards that you won are gone."
right.
He didn't even know what I was. He was just thinking what I wanted.
Well, I think he assumed you weren't looking at the Mario Lemieux and the Ovechkin.
Hey, so love of the game. This is kind of funny here since Orlando's on here. Love of the game auction. I had a question. They had a strip, strip cards of 8 stuck together on a panel. Okay.
Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah.
Okay. About what I'm getting ready to say?
About the strip card that you were bidding.
Oh, you and I. Yes. So I call. So this is how I love the YouTube stuff because, okay, so I call Orlando and I wonder who I should call because it's an auction thing and it's a strip card. So I call Rick, and I 5 of these cards were lower end Hall of Famers that weren't in very good shape. And Rick's actually driving down the road and he's trying to pull it up, which I don't know if you know what Rick does now, but he shouldn't have been looking things up on the auction, But he said, well, he goes, you could cut those up if you wanted to, because I wanted to, because I just wanted the individual Hall of Famers so I could put in a slab, and I don't like the panels being slab. And he said, and basically he was saying you could, but why would you want to, kind of thing. I could read between the lines.
Right.
So I didn't quite like that answer. And so Rick and I talked, and he gave me his advice. Well, I'll be damned. I call Orlando right after that, and Orlando, same kind of thing. He goes, yeah, you could cut up that panel, but why would you want to? And I read between the lines, so basically I stopped bidding on it.
You should have asked. You should have asked Mangini that question. It wouldn't have been as nice. What? He'd have lost his mind.
Oh, but no, that's
a great story.
That's why this YouTube stuff is
fantastic.
All right, I got a question for you guys. Besides looking at cards, what else are you guys looking forward to seeing and doing at the National?
Talking to you, Dave.
Yeah, just hanging out with everybody.
Drinking some of these, Dave. Drinking some of these.
Well, so here's what I know. I know that I'm getting a free drink from Jason.
Yes, you are.
And I'm getting a free drink from George Diamond Yard Sport Cards. And so I hope they're not at the same time so I can enjoy one big drink from Jason and one big drink from George. But I think I'm committed to you, Chris. I'm committed to Dave. I think I'm committed to Lou Rock. I'm committed to anybody who walks up to the bar with me. I'll buy the drink. That's how it's going to work. So, and that's okay with us, but don't promise I'm going to come out behind, because I owe a lot to Mike Canadian Cards, and he practices a lot for drinking. So that's who I have to pay it forward to, is Mike Canadian Cards.
Yes. All are welcome to dip into my pocketbook for a beer. I'm okay with that.
And Jason, you just want to steal everybody's money playing Texas Hold'em, man. That's your big
problem. I don't know. I'm learning that game, Sammy, right now. I'm just learning how to play it.
Yeah, so. Okay.
I hope I can join in and get enough money to buy the Eddie Matthews, the 52.
It's going to get so bad where money's going to turn into cards being thrown into the pot.
Yeah.
Dave said he's in. I was getting
fine. 53 Mother's cookies. Go ahead.
I was getting a sense that Matt plays just by the conversation on the chat that Matt plays a little poker. So maybe he could show me a thing or two. I can learn something.
Well, I did have a question
written down. Hangout. I'm looking forward to getting together. That'll be a blast on the YouTube Hangout.
Oh yeah.
I think most of are going to Ash's thing on. Are we not, Greg? Most of the people here.
Yeah, I mean, as far as everyone in the room is, yeah,
that'll be nice too. So,
yeah, I contacted him a couple of days ago, and I was like, "Are you still doing that? Like, are you going to be there?" You know?
Right.
And he was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Do you have any more room?" Because a few people had reached out, and I was dragging my feet to ask, because I was like, finally I just ripped the Band-Aid off and asked him, and he was like, well, yeah, but there were a few people. There were a few. I'm not pointing the fingers at any one person.
Everybody pointed at Dave now. Everybody pointed at Dave.
I was asking for somebody else.
Listen, man, Dave is a hero. He single-handedly saved the YouTube meetup.
100%. Yep.
The man, we should be covering his entry fee.
Don't tell him that; he'll take you up on it.
Drinks.
Yeah, I've been a little bit in a weird position because it's not my party, and I don't know how many spots they are. I'm just like the guy that has his number, so I've been the go-between, and I'm like, if you don't know about it, I'm sorry.
Right. It's not me.
It's just it's tough, but. Yeah, I think I think a lot of people are going, and I know there are a lot of other events going on that night that people are attending. So it's hard to invite everybody, and it is what it is.
Right.
So it'll be fun.
So outside of the vintage card YouTubers, does anyone have anyone they're looking forward to meet? Because I do in one particular that strikes me as I really want to meet Mac Wax Stacks. I don't know if any of you are familiar with his channel at all. It's not that big, but I just love his energy on his videos and what he brings to them. So, and
looking forward to meeting Dr. Beckett if he's going to be at any of the places. I've
He
never
will
met
be.
him.
At the YouTube get together.
I'm thinking about bringing one of my Beckett magazines and trying to get an autograph.
Yes.
I don't know. I mean,
Do it. Bring it.
Yeah, a lot of people did that
I'm
last
doing
year,
it.
Craig. He'll sign it. A lot of people do it.
Yeah, he's used to it.
right.
I have a reprint of the original, the first issue, a reprint, but I'm going to have him sign it.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I'm really looking forward to seeing the guy from Penny, or the people from Penny Sleever. That's actually, they're driving up 8 hours, handing out some stuff, meeting all of us at the meet and greet, and then driving back home. And anybody dumb enough to sponsor a show that I'm on, I got to have a drink with that dude. So, but yeah, I tell you, I've been thinking about this since Strongsville. This piece of thing that I'm going to say is the YouTube community carries a lot of weight. I mean, we spent a ton of money at Strongsville, and there's going to be 3 or 4 times, at least 4 times the amount of YouTubers, and it's content creators, and that's people not even in kind of our little group kind of thing.
Right.
And people are going there to meet other YouTubers. Just think of how much money is going to be spent there by the YouTube community. It's going to be a lot.
Oh yeah, and we're
less since Mike Petty's not going, but it's still going to be a lot.
right. And we're a small portion. You know, the vintage community, which I consider most of us. I mean, I have modern. We show modern on occasion, but there's a whole community out there, and I watch some of those channels that are strictly modern. You know, so I think it's Scotty B does a lot of modern, and I think there's a guy Sky B Cards, and their channels are 25,000 subscribers deep.
Oh, yeah.
There's a guy out of Louisville, Frank, 502 Frank. I watch, and he's all modern, and you know they carry some weight. With 25.
All those guys are going to be at the Filmington event.
Right.
I think it's also on Friday night.
Right.
Yeah.
But
yeah, most of the modern guys go to that.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Friday thing, Steven with a PH is in the chat, and he just texted me to remind me. He bought 2 tickets, and the person that was going to come with him can't go. So for the Friday event that Ash is doing, there is a ticket available, and it would be paying back Steven to get his money back to. And just let me know whoever it is, and I could switch the name on the RSVP list. So there is a spot available.
You'll
take it.
Yeah, and
okay.
I'll just give Steven the cash, sort of like I gave John his cash.
Okay, and then maybe Chris, if you could just text me the first and last name so I could change the list.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I felt bad, Greg, when that came out. I was the first one to say I'm in, and then I'm like, I'm on vacation. I'll pay you. When I get back, you're like, you're fine, and then everyone's paying. I'm like, I told my wife, I said, hey, you got to pay. We were on vacation. I'm like, get $5 over to this guy.
I know.
Like,
Sammy was in the same spot because he was flying home that day. It's great.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sammy was in the cornfield.
I thought I was going to be the last one to pay, and luckily my wife came home about 10 minutes after I texted saying I'll probably be the last one to pay, and she said, "Give me your phone." And
I think it might have been Theo that was last, if I'm being honest. Poor guy can't even defend himself right now. He's out of the area.
Didn't you have to sell his 471 Clemente to pay?
It's worth a little more than $45.
What's up, everybody? I love Theo.
I don't.
I mean, yeah, John and Theo. It's like the Paul McCartney and John Lennon. Always butting heads.
I know most of you guys are East Coast, but at one of the next few Burbank card shows, I think Petty and a few of us are going to try to encourage some people to come out for that. So it's not a super long flight for like you Portland guys. But like Darren has said he might come. Adam Splendid Sports said he might come. So it's not going to be the one in August, but sometime in the near future, I think we're going to try to do that. So I'll throw that out when we get more info on it.
Yeah,
having Petty host a bunch of us would
Can
be
we stay at
wild.
your house?
Well, he actually lives. Petty lives probably 45 minutes from where that show is held. He lives, and then I live 7 hours from it.
Well, Petty has a pool, right?
Yeah. I would think that he does.
So if he has a pool, just give me the floaty. I'll sleep in the water the entire night.
He's got a pool and a pond. Pond will be good for us, but the pool.
I was going to say,
just crashes at Petty's house.
It'll be like Norm Macdonald in Billy Madison.
Right.
I was
Put up a hammock or a tent, you're good to go.
Going along with what Greg just said, that for the East Coast guys, I'm trying to get. There's a big show in Orlando on the first week of November. It's the Fanatics. It's supposedly like the first big show that the Fanatics is going to put together after the New York one. It's going to be in Orlando, and I've already contacted a lot of the Florida guys and anybody that's anywhere near there. So I'm hoping that I can get a group of people to go to that. It's in November, the first week of November. It's at the Orlando Convention Center, and it's Fanatics. I heard that it's going to be somewhere around 400 to 500 tables, and it's going to be more of a card show versus a Fanatics type event. So that's in November. So something to think about for the future. If anybody's coming to Orlando or Disney.
I would love to see a ton of regional get-togethers.
Yeah.
And that'd be great.
The Philly show, if anyone, I mean, I know it's East Coast, but the Philly show is damn good, man. That's a good show.
Yeah.
That's a massive show, too. It feels like a national in a way. Like, I don't know, like Mooki. Yeah, Mooki and Pete and we went. I know that Don goes to the show and me, and B. Roth goes. It's a great show.
It's like in September, isn't it, Sammy?
Yeah, they have it like 3 or 4 times a year, and it's always solid. Like, that's probably one of my favorite shows to go to out of all the shows that I do. Yeah, Andrew's right. The Philly show is not even in Philly, but close enough. I mean, most of the shows are not in their location.
Well, I get such a kick out of it. I saw Mangini talking the other day, and he said, "I'm not going to the Chicago show. It's rough in Chicago." And I was in the chat, and I'm like, "It's in Rosemont. It's a suburb, a half an hour outside of Chicago." I'm like, "That is not Chicago. That's a suburb." I'm like, "You're fine in Rosemont. Come on out to Chicago, the Rosemont show." So,
He's coming to New York in August.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, he's coming to New York. Unfortunately, there's no card shops in the city, so we're gonna have to go. It's like only like 3 or 4 of them.
Okay.
It's a shame.
That's like Burbank. The Burbank show, one of them's in Anaheim, which is 45 minutes. It's in Disneyland, but Burbank is way north of LA. And then the other one is in Ontario, which is inland. So it's like, it's not even, I mean, both of them are 45 minutes from Burbank, people are like, "Oh, I'm going to get a flight to Burbank." No, don't get a flight to Burbank. You'll be way out of the area.
Right. That's the bonus to Chicago. So the city limits were extended years ago when they built O'Hare Airport. Technically, that's in the suburbs, but they stretched out the city limits to be. You're literally 3 minutes away from the airport when it's in Rosemont. So I mean, it's just ideal for everybody, which is why I love when it's here. This is my first time traveling for a national. Every national I've been to has been in Chicago, so this will be my first out-of-state national. And I got hooked.
You were at the YouTube get together last year, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. I didn't have a channel though, so I didn't.
Yeah, he was there.
I met. That's where I met Sammy in Orlando, and I was just a lurker. So I didn't. I talked to a few people, the few channels that I watched. I didn't. the outreach. I talked to Chris briefly. Chris was a newer channel back then, if I'm not mistaken. And and then shortly started the channel several months after that, finally mustered up the courage to do it. So
surely I didn't give you the time of day, though, did I?
Oh, you were talking in cursive, Chris. You couldn't even. You were trying to pawn me off on Moynihan. Yeah, let's go there. Go talk to this guy. I'm gonna go get some more booze.
Well, for me, I'll be coming from the monthly Portland show with all of 30 tables, and if we're lucky, there might be one that has vintage. So
yeah, we've got a lot of local
different
like that.
I think John is going to be in shock when he gets over there, when he sees this. You won't believe it, John. You've just never been to a big show like this. When you see it, you just won't even know where to start walking.
You'll have Tom Seaver face.
You'll be gangster. John will be gangster.
So I when I went to my first national in Chicago, before I was doing any YouTube content, I went with two young kids from they were 22, 23-year-olds that friends with at the card shop, local card shop. And they said they got in front of me before I went into the show through the main room. And they said, we're going to videotape you coming in so we can get your face. And I was even trying not to look, emotional or like this isn't bothering me. But when I stepped inside the big doors at Chicago, I just went, holy shit.
Yeah.
And it was I don't know. And so if you could get somebody to videotape you going in and get your real reaction, I wish everybody would, get that, because if you're not overwhelmed, you're a man of steel, dude.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good idea.
Sammy can't do a Seaver face, but I can do my Eddie Matthews face. So
does he look stoned?
He does. He looks like he's drinking a little bit.
Here's how I was.
He looks really happy.
That's how I was right there.
All right, that's it. I'm buying the Jerry Sloan rookie card just so I could have.
There you go.
Just so I could have Sloan face.
How many people are going to be doing grading at the show? Are they going to drop off grading? Like, I'm going to take this. I want to get it graded, either with PSA. I don't know if SGC will do oversized.
They'll do that size. They'll do that size, but they'll charge like $50 or $60 for it.
Yeah.
So it's a conundrum. It's a conundrum for me, Craig, because I want to buy more cards. So, like, I go there with the intent of, I'm going to grade 6 or 7 cards, and I'm like, well, that's one card that I could be buying with those grade, and then I just keep it ungraded and wait till slow season to grade cards.
I've got like that 67 Brooks Robinson I want to get graded still, and I've got a bunch of Drysdale cards, and
that's a high number, isn't it, Craig?
Oh, that's a good tough one, number 600.
Yeah,
that's a nice one to have. I've got 2 of them, but one's really, really nice. I think it'll probably be a 5 or 6. But, my problem is if I don't take them and get them graded there, chances are I'm going to delay mailing them out here at the house. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I've experienced it already that if I say I'll do it on my own, I generally don't do it. I'm not like Chris, where Chris is like really good at getting them out and in.
That's the only thing Chris is good at, just getting grading cards out.
Well, you're taking after Matt.
Holy cow! I just caught. I'm getting good at getting stuff out and in. Craig, you just did a sermon Sunday, son.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh my. Yeah, I just preached this morning, so.
Well, it went off the rails.
I'm not taking anything to grade. If I buy something raw there, I may drop it off for grading, but I'm not going to take anything else.
Yeah, Mooki's mentioning, man, I'm bummed that SGC is not doing on-site grading. I think it's a whole big conspiracy theory, man. Collectors just doesn't want SGC there to be able to do on-site grading because they know that PSA is asking, what, $129 for same day or same show grading?
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, the
Well,
question
cheaper than last 2 years.
SGC, what were they charging? $35 last year for cards under a certain value. So, yeah, I'm bummed too, man. I think Don showing me was like just really, he was beside himself. He's not happy about it. I'm not happy about it either.
PSA was what, $150 last year. I think Beckett was what, $100 or something, wasn't
Beckett.
it?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Beckett had a line. It was
They
weird.
did. Have you ever wanted to squeeze your head so much? Because when I passed by the Beckett line, I was in shock because they were handing out forms like you're going to DMV to fill out. Like, all right, put your license, put your make and model in here, and make sure that you don't sure you don't use a pencil. It's like, my God, man, that was just brutal to watch.
Crazy. And then you pay a lot, and then you get upcharged on top of that.
Like,
Right.
where are we living? Are we living in the 1980s here? I mean, where computers are like the
I was
size.
wondering what year is it with a paper form?
But they had a line. It was crazy.
I know, it's insane, man.
All these flippers were there.
Oh man!
Did they have a line because there were a lot of people, or because it was going so slow?
Both.
They were paid actors. They were paid actors.
This live stream is sponsored by Beckett. All right, continue.
Clearly not.
Is HGA going to be there? Weren't they the hot topic for during COVID? Are they still around? Do they exist anymore?
I don't know. No, Tag was there last year.
Yeah, and then Arena's a new one, right? That's a big one, or a new one. What's the one that Jeter owns? Is that Arena?
Arena.
Yeah, Jeter owns a piece of that, I thought.
Tag is Jeremy Lee owns part of that.
Okay.
I'm going to wait in line for Dylan to grade mine.
Do you guys buy
same day grading?
do you guys buy though that SGC mentioned they're not doing on-site grading because they want to reduce the turnaround time down, or do you guys think there's a something deeper going on with that?
Yeah, they were told. I believe SGC was told you're not going to do on-site grading. I think SGC wants to do on-site grading. How are you going to build your brand by getting new people? When they were a third the price of everyone last year, they got slammed, and a bunch of people are now trying it that maybe wouldn't have tried it. And they've stopped doing that because they might get backed up again. That is garbage. They got a phone call and it said, guess what you're not doing? And guess what your reasoning is? That's what happened.
Most companies don't pull back on production because they might get busy. That's what you want. You want to get busy, right? And then you adapt after that. So someone picked up the phone and said, not going to happen. We're not going to jeopardize what we already have going over here at 130 or 150 a crap.
Such crap, man. It's such crap. It's a golden opportunity to be able to capitalize on being able to buy like a raw card or reslab something or what have you. And it's such crap, man. This whole thing.
But you're selling against yourself. It's a great opportunity for us, but does collectors give a crap about that? That's obviously not. Otherwise, they'd be letting them do it. So,
Greg, do you think that they're under the thumb of the higher ups to say you're not going to be doing some on-site grading, but hey, we're going to bring a few of you part-time to come work for us on site for PSA?
That wouldn't shock me. The problem would be the grading standards are slightly different, and so the training. So they would probably have to do some training to do it, but it wouldn't shock me if there are going to be some SGC people grading PSA cards at the show.
That's what I've been thinking the whole time.
Most of the cards that are going to get submitted to PSA at the show are going to be modern cards, so there's not going to be this huge vintage influx, I don't think, for PSA at the show. All they're doing is preventing vintage people from slabbing vintage cards because they want to do it through SGC, and now they can't because they were told not to. That's what I believe. Now, obviously, I don't have any evidence for that, but I mean, quacks like a duck and walks like a duck. So
it makes sense.
Why would they suddenly change this after 2 years of being very successful at doing this? There's one thing that's changed, and it's who owns them.
I agree 100%.
I would still kind of doubt that there's crossover of production people. If anything, I would think there'd be like corporate type functions that would get used between companies, like HR, IT, crap like that, billing, but
I tell you what, Peter was there last year. I talked to him last year. I'm going to talk to him again. I'm going to ask him that question, see what he says.
Well, he's got a muzzle now. I mean, he's a great guy, but he's going to have to talk. He's not in charge anymore. So
Nope.
he's not going to be able to say necessarily what he thinks. Like in the past, he could have because he was the guy. Now he's not the guy. So I have a hard time to believe. I don't know if he'll actually be straight with you.
He may not.
The reality is, how long is he the face of SGC, right? I mean, we don't even know that, right? There could have been a check that came with this and said, play the game, play the rules. This is what it is for the next 2 to 3, and then we'll see what happens after that.
John, to what Chris was saying about the grading thing, the reason I think it's possible is one of the things that PSA did say is why they were buying SGC is because it's hard to find vintage graders, and SGC has a bunch of them. So it was partly to acquire vintage graders. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that there might be some crossover with vintage at the show.
So you think everybody's paycheck now says Collectors Universe instead of the separate companies?
Yeah,
I would think so, but I mean, if you work at ESPN, I would think your paycheck says Disney. I don't know, but I would think that it does. I think it's a parent company. When I worked for Red Lobster right out of college, it said Darden, which is the parent company of a bunch of those different restaurants. It didn't say Red Lobster.
Yeah.
If their paycheck doesn't say it, their W-2 surely will.
Right.
Yeah.
So Rick mentioned that they weren't busy for on-site grading last year. That was something else in the article that I read, that they weren't busy enough. They didn't, but that was something else that was written in there. I just see it as for $35. I mean, it's good price.
Rick does not need to reply because I thought we had a good conspiracy theory going on right here. So
listen, I'm all in favor for the conspiracy theory.
But no, that adds to go back to that comment, John, to Rick's comment, where he said he was told SGC. If SGC wasn't busy for on-site grading, that's less reason to not have it.
Right.
The reason that they were saying they didn't want to have it is they didn't want to get backed up. But if they weren't even busy, then why would they get backed up?
The case where they pull resources from normal production, and so they get backed up at the normal production and lose their turnaround time.
But if they don't need that many graders because they're not that busy, I don't know. I think that adds to conspiracy theory.
But didn't they pull out of they pulled out of a couple shows recently? Have they not? Like, I thought they pulled out. When was the last Philly show? Didn't they pull out of Philly?
No, they were there. They're always there. It's just they're not doing on-site grading. They don't do on-site gradings outside of the national.
Anywhere.
Right. Outside. They pulled out. We had a show here in Chicago. They were supposed to be there. They pulled out entirely. They weren't there.
That might have been. They're always showing up, as far as I can tell. They might have been a one-off, but.
Okay.
The one thing I could say about them is that they're always at the shows, even like the shows in the county center in White Plains.
St. Louis and Kansas City shows, every one of them, they're there.
Yeah.
I mean, the big benefit for the Nationals, it's such a big show, and if somebody's got a huge card and they've got a deal that's in the works, if it gets graded, if it's a certain grade, and so you can grade it same day or next day, and then consummate that deal, during the show. And because there could be somebody that's willing to say, hey, I'll buy this card or I'll sell it if it grades a XYZ. But you can't do that unless you go to PSA now.
Well, and here's the other thing about it too, is with SGC not doing that, like, I know of 2 people who have a really big card in an old SGC holder, and they want to get it reholdered, but they don't want it going through the mail. So before, their plan was they were going to go to the National and they were going to get it reholdered and get it back there. And now you can't do that. So it's like, at least do reholdering, at least do something, but by not doing that, it's a big statement, I think.
Yeah.
Some great comments there, though.
Yeah.
It is expensive to take up more booth space, and if you're not going to get your return on investment, I mean, that does make some sense there. If you don't have enough cards to grade.
Yeah, but keeping your name out there, that.
Well, they're going to have
marketing.
Be out there.
That's just advertisement right there.
Yeah.
They could just sit there and shake hands, and it'd be worth it. Hey, we're business.
It's advertisement at the biggest event of the year for this industry.
Well,
That
it's not
is
like they're
the
not going to
show.
be there. They're going to be there with exposure, and they're going to have
Right.
all their stuff. They're just not going to have the additional staffing, I guess, they need. But again, it creates more conspiracy theories, because why not? It's what you said. When I was there last year, Rocket Rick wanted to get something graded. He did go to PSA. He had that Jordan rookie, or the 86 Fleer Jordan, that he took it to PSA, graded it. Once it got the grade, then the dealer accepted it because it had the grade on it.
Right.
Because he wanted to trade it flat out, but he got it graded instead. And yeah, sometimes that happens. You have a big card, you want to get it graded right there, maybe sell it, or at least know what it is.
Yeah, that's what Craig was saying, basically, consummated with the actual number on the slab and the authenticity. So
I feel a lot more comfortable when you say consummated than I do Pastor Craig saying.
yeah, I'm a very righteous man.
You're a righteous
Chris.
man, yeah.
Hey, Pastor Craig, I got to tell you, I did officiate my first wedding last summer.
Oh, yeah.
And looks like I'm going to be doing my second one in January.
There you
So,
go. Cool.
Us men of the cloth.
That's right.
have to
That's
stick
right.
together,
Yeah.
That's
So
right.
What
What-
that license cost you? $50 online, Greg?
I think it was 35.
Can you can you put that comment back up with David there? By the way, David's a great guy. Was a Strongsville. David, he says the writing's on the wall, and I agree with him, because I think that why isn't SGC allowed to create that registry when it's there? What is that?
That's his license. That's his
Hey,
his ordained license.
2 Cheerio box tops, and you can get ordained in Missouri.
I was gonna
There it
say,
is. Yeah.
$35 versus my master's degree at $50,000. What a deal!
I got emails. I get emails that say Reverend Greg all the time.
It's the Latter-day midlife cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, what
Maybe
do
we can marry SGC and PSA, or we can get divorced or something like that. That'd be good, huh?
But
yeah,
I mean, as it stands now, they own sports cards. Do they really think they're going to risk eliminating SGC and all those people possibly not switching to PSA?
I don't know. I mean, that could be something that happens gradually over time, right? It all depends. I mean,
Is that the plan overall? I mean, at the
Right.
end, who knows?
I'm stunned. I thought it was going to be when it occurred. I thought it was going to be cut the cord, pull the trigger, do it now. So I was a little shocked that it didn't happen right away.
There have been a couple of comments that a couple of people have made on channels, fairly big channels, talking about having knowledge of certain things that are coming that lead me, that make me a little bit curious as to the long-term plan. They didn't come out up front and say it, obviously, what it was, but people were saying what happened to the registry. Because last year at the National, remember, Mike Moynihan interviewed Peter at the National, and he said it's imminent. Our registry it's about to come out, but we don't want to do it too early. We want to make sure everything's perfect. That was 11 months ago. Right. They were about to do it. They haven't done it. And they've also talked widely about there being a new slab with SGC. And that they've been talking about for 9-10 months.
Right.
So why are we waiting unless there's something bigger coming, which that I think there's going to be something bigger about to happen.
Guys, in our lifetime, it might not happen in our lifetime. There's one easy way to get additional money off of vintage baseball card collectors, and that's having a bigger, better looking way of holding cards. And here people have 3,000, 5,000 graded cards, and they might become irrelevant someday because you need to have this particular slab to get the biggest value out of your cards. So there's going to be changes throughout our collecting lifetime, and I agree with what you just said there, Greg.
I like Mookie's analysis.
Yeah.
The mix of Star Wars to the analysis is phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I was looking recently in June, SGC did better than PSA on cards from the 1950s and earlier. That was the only percentage, just from sports cards alone, that was the only percentage that SGC they graded more than PSA. Any decade after that, PSA obviously did better, but that had to have caught their eye.
I'm curious too, because they did a basketball special, right? All basketball was like $12. So I'm wondering what that did for their numbers, and how much of that share they grabbed.
Well, GemRate gives you these statistics so you can look up on a month-by-month basis to see how the grading companies are doing. And I was just looking at January because SGC was acquired February 29th, it looks like. And so I imagine they must have been looking at their numbers and realized that there's a certain loyalty to SGC when it comes to those 50s and earlier cards that PSA just was not getting. They just could not get those, get those customers. So I imagine that's what I was curious about, to see what those statistics look like. Because obviously PSAs, their numbers, they're skewed towards them completely. But I was just looking at January's numbers, and it looked like 8.8% of SGC's stuff was 1950s and earlier, and like 3.3% of PSA stuff was 1950s. So it's kind of interesting to see that dynamic.
Well, the other thing, not to get too in the weeds on this, but when a company goes public, right? Because collectors went public to private, and my understanding is they want to go back to public.
Yeah, that's what
because that's where you get real rich.
Yeah.
When you go public, a big number, one of the most important numbers, is your revenue. And so if they could use funds to buy SGC, which helps revenue numbers more than whatever else that money could have been earmarked for, part of it could be them setting themselves up for that move. It's hard to know, obviously, but something's going on.
And then once that move happens, once it does go public, then it's a free for all at that point in time, because then it's like bottom dollar, show me the money, and we'll hack and whack if we need to, and we'll do whatever we need to do. Consolidate, make it one
profit. Then it becomes profit margin.
Yep. Nobody cares at that point in time about a collector. Once it's public, it's bottom dollar. So.
Exactly. Scott, I'll buy some shares.
Some shares.
John, didn't you have a question earlier that you wanted to ask?
I don't know.
We went off the rails. He knew it was happening.
I just
John,
how
excited are you, John? How excited are you?
I'm pretty excited. One of the people I'm actually excited to meet is one of your buddies, Ryan Nolan. I want to pick his brain a little bit if I can for even just a few minutes on some the non-sport. So. Oh,
he's the expert in non-sports. Yeah, I'm rooming with him, so we'll end up talking all night. That's what we did last time. It's 2 a.m. and we're talking like it's crazy. But yeah, non-sports. That's definitely the guy that knows non-sports and also music cards and things like that. That's the guy to talk to about it. I'll definitely make sure. I think he's going to be at the get-together and stuff too.
No concert for him this time?
No concert. Yeah, he snuck out to the concert with Paul last time.
That concert he went to was right by my house. I know where he went. That was like 15 minutes from where I live. I think he went to go see Robbie Krieger, right, from the Doors.
Yeah, the Doors. Yeah, the original. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was crazy. We started out just me and him, and then I get up in the morning. There's 4 guys in the room. I'm whoa, sleeping on the floor.
Bunch of hobos just moving in. Go look at baseball cards. What a pathetic group of people we really are.
Speak for yourself, Jason.
Oh, I know I'm pathetic.
So I know all you guys are in a pre-war. I'm gonna try to dive into it here at the National, and I'm really I've been struck by the diamond stars. I love that design.
Yeah.
You know, and I was always a little bit leery about getting into pre-war because I don't know much about it. And I remember Chris made a comment about Strongsville. He said, if you need to stay in your own sandbox because it can quickly become a litter box if you're not careful. You know, if you start getting into things that you don't know about, you can really start crapping on yourself and spending money on bad, you know, things you shouldn't be spending money on. So, but I'm going to be looking at some diamond stars if I can find some that are really nice. Yeah.
Make sure it's something you like first, and then check and make sure you know exactly what you're getting and all that. Can you show those diamonds? Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. They're Art Deco style. They're gorgeous cars. I want that Al Lopez.
Oh, I want that Al Lopez too.
Yeah.
I see that. Yeah. I want that one, and I want the big heads, the 38 Gaudi Al Lopez.
Yeah.
I need that
that's
too.
another good one.
I think I paid $30 for it.
Yeah.
Really?
That's still.
So
I love the cards that have like the catchers. I always have liked the catcher.
Yes.
Yeah.
With the mask or the you know, looking up like for a foul ball. And yeah, like that. I collect like kind of the catcher cards. Even
I would say this, Craig. If you're going to get into it, don't listen to Chris. He might point you in the directions of M&P Larry Doby cards, and you don't want any piece of that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, the cheapest way to get started, really, as far as the major sets go, is either those diamond stars or play balls.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
but I don't want to spend a lot of money and then not be happy. Yeah, not appreciate her. I would always appreciate, but not really be happy with it.
So like you can get like these Z-Nut cards, are like, you know, $6.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
Yeah, buy a couple of beaters and stuff that aren't too expensive, and then if you like them, then you go from there.
Right.
No, it's not.
what's wrong with, you know,
I want
It's
what Scott's saying there. I want what Scott's showing right there. Dobie.
That Dobie. I think it's a white guy on the Dobie.
It's the Caucasian Larry Doby.
I did not know that he was
cards.
his nickname, because he was a pitcher in that one, is called White Lightning. So
What was that, Sammy?
Transagrams.
The transagram.
Transagram Sammy.
That's right, baby. That's right, man.
I love it. Love it.
I feel that looks like you, Sammy, without the beard.
I'll tell you what, man. I'm gonna have my own transagram card given out, man. You guys, all of you guys will get one.
Personalized?
If you want. I mean, you should see Mookie's that I gave him. I gave him 2.
His was autographed and art design, specific one-of-one art design.
Yeah. You know what, Scott? It did not look like the 91 Fleer, man. You got to stop with this nonsense.
So, Greg, what are you going to be looking for as your big pickup?
Me?
Yeah, because that was one of the first questions. You were missed out on that about what kind of our.
The first question was, how many of you like Graig midlife cars? That was the first question. Now this is the second question. What's your big card?
What are you looking for?
There are about 10 or 12 cards that I keep circling through, and I mean I can rattle off a few. I really like the 39 DiMaggio, the 39 Ted Williams, the 41 Ted Williams, the Leaf DiMaggio. As far as T206s, I'd love to get a Cobb. I'd love to get a Walter Johnson. I'd love to get a Cy Young. I mean, those are some of the big ones.
Right.
And I keep kind of going back and forth. And the thing I'm struggling with, and you guys honestly give me your feedback, because my thought is I want to go with the biggest card. Like, I want to go of the cards I just listed, it's probably the Ty Cobb T206 or the 39 Ted Williams would probably be the 2 most expensive that I just listed. And my thought process is go for the big card, because if you buy a big card, you want to be able to really see it and in person, and you don't want to have to pay sales tax, because the sales tax on a big card is a lot of money. So you kind of save and you make sure you're getting the right big card. But the thought of going there and maybe, or I mean, I didn't even list the Ernie Banks or the 48 Bowman Musial or Barra. And so it's like, I go, okay, say I find a really, really nice Barra in a 6, and I just go big and get a really nice one. Like, then I mean, I don't have a problem spending my whole budget on one card, but I also look around and I'm like, wait a second, like, I could get, for the same amount as the Cobb, I could get 3 of those cards, you know? And so I'm struggling with trying to figure out what I want to do. And ultimately, I know it's probably going to be when I see the right card, that will make the decision for me, probably. But theoretically, what do you guys all kind of think about? Do you go with one giant card, a couple of big cards, several smaller cards? Like, what's the philosophy for you guys?
I like to
go
go
with spending all my budget before I go.
Big or go home, you know?
Okay, so John said he spends his budget before he even gets there. Yeah. Orlando, what were you saying?
Well, let's tackle this one at a time. So
okay, Orlando, tell me your thoughts.
If you find the right card, go big. I'd go big. If you find that right card, you know, that's pretty much what I would do.
Yeah, and I wasn't here earlier, and I don't want to put everybody through hearing what everyone else said was the big card, but yours is the Ramley, right, Orlando?
Yeah, I'd like to get the Ramley, or if not, I get the T206 Portrait, one of those Walter Johnsons. But the Ramley is the one I'm looking for, hopefully.
Chris, what's your take?
So, okay, I struggle with this same thing as well, and I did a video about Strongsville, about how I was disappointed because I wanted to get a big card. That was my whole thought process. I wanted to get a big card there. I ended up getting, you know, I did get the Joe DiMaggio 48 leaf or 49 leaf. And so that kind of made that. But I came home with money. And if I want to get, I would say get the big card at this particular show. And I want to wait till somebody tells me I can't get that, meaning they won't work with me on the price, or I find it, but they won't come down a little bit to meet what I want to spend. But I say tier it, either satisfy yourself with a big card or get the next 2 lesser cards, but still make you feel really good. And then on the 3-tier level, okay, I didn't get whatever your budget is. I didn't get this 1 card. I didn't get this 2 card. And the last thing you do is go ahead and look for a lot of cards. You'll have fun. You know you'll have fun doing all those. But I am going to try to get my big card first.
Now, here's my one counter to you two, and I want to hear what everyone else says, and I'm not trying to take over here, but I also wonder, like, okay, so say I see a nice copy of one of the medium cards, but I'm like, nope, I'm not buying it because I'm holding out for the big card, and I keep looking and I see another one of the medium cards that I really like. Nope, I'm holding out for the big card. Well, the big card's not there. And now I go back for the medium cards, and guess what? They're not there anymore now either. So now you've gotten neither. That's the problem with holding out for the big card. If you go with the medium cards, you can knock one off as soon as you see it, but then you won't have enough money to buy the big card. So that's the part that I struggle with is you might end up with nothing that way.
All right, here's your option there too.
Then you're disappointed like I was coming home from Strong.
Dave, what were you saying?
I would
the medium
say
cards are going to be
you
easier
got
to
your
find.
medium cards and stuff. Like even if you got one and you found your big card, like see if you could trade that card towards that big card with that dealer.
Greg, I'll also mention, man, like at Strongsville, I went immediately. My big card finding there was the 54 Stahlmeyer Mace. And it took me very little time to navigate through that room and see that no one had it because I know that card's going to be on the display case. It's not going to be hiding. And I knew immediately it wasn't there. I immediately pivoted. It took me about 20, 30 minutes to realize that it was not going to happen.
That's a really good point. So you make a quick first loop looking for the big card, and then you start going through it slower looking for the other stuff.
Yeah,
The
granted,
national floor is different.
no, of course. I mean, that's much different. It's a different circumstance, but yeah, that's when it comes to the national, Greg. I mean, that's a well, you know, that it's a different battle altogether. And when you pose the question about the large card versus the medium card, that's a tough one to navigate when it comes to the national. It's such a difficult task.
Yeah.
And here's a
What's your
question too:
take?
like, what cob?
go ahead.
What cob are you going for?
Well, my two favorites I mean, I can't afford the green one, and to me, I actually like the red one a little better. I also like the bat on shoulder one, but I would be open to any of them. But the one that I see myself getting would probably be the red one. It's a little bit more common, but I'm open to any of them. I'm putting together this I'm trying to get a Hall of Famer of every T206 guy. And I know I'm not going to get all 4 Cobbs. You know, I know I'm not going to get all 3 Cy Youngs, but I'd like to get one of each. And so I've built up this budget that I'm taking with me where I could probably, maybe pull off a Cobb that I like. And so it's not a super rare card, but again, it's the tax, it's the seeing it in your hands, knowing you like it before you buy it.
Do you have a list of dealers that you want to go see, Greg, that you think will have that card? I mean, are there some dealers that some dealers that you want to hit them first because they may have it?
I think that's a great point too, because they have that interactive map on the site right now. And just through Strongsville, I now have a pretty good idea that there are 2 or 3 of the big dealers that even if they have it, they're not going to be asking a realistic price. And there's 3 or 4 that if they had it, they would. So I have thought about having a list of about 5 or 6 dealers and hit those tables first. Right. I think that's a good point.
Yeah. Because like with the 54 banks, you can find that at almost the majority of the tables are going to have something.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why everyone goes, why don't you just buy it? Why don't you just buy it? And I'm like, well, it's always on the back burner. But when I go to some of these shows, I want to find something that I'm not going to find somewhere else.
Right.
And even my local show I went to the other day, there were 5 Bankses in the room. So what do you think, Jason?
I fall in the same category as you. My thought process is very similar to yours, Greg. Like, even at Strongsville, I brought X amount of dollars, and I think I said it on the last live I was on with Sammy. And what ends up happening is, and Strongsville is much, much smaller, so you can kind of contain it quicker. I get wishy-washy, right? So I have a big card in mind, and I want to scope the room out. Well, at the National, that's 2 days of walking. 2.5 days of walking. So I've come to the conclusion, like, if there is one big card I have in mind. But if I'm walking through the National and I see tier 2s or tier 3s or whatever tier that I put it, and it's a card that looks good to me and I feel good about buying it, then I'll buy it. Then I don't have enough for the big card. And then what did you call it earlier, Dave? Squirreling at the National. Then I'll go smaller for the rest of the time. Now, if I walk in and see that big card and buy it, my concern is, oh gosh, what am I going to do for the next 3 days? So like, my budget's gone. What am I dollars?
I don't worry about that. I don't worry about that because I would have an absolute blast just sitting on any of your guys' shoulder
and just watch it, right?
For 2 days, hanging out, being an extra set of eyes for you.
Right.
Plus another dozen guys that aren't in this stream right now that I would love to just spend 2 or 3 hours just
hanging
as their wingman.
I'll tell you what I'm doing already. I looked at the layout, like Greg says. Take a look at the layout and take a look at all the dealers that are there. If you look, there's one area where Ash is actually going to be right behind. All that corner, all that entire area in the back is all vintage and pre-war back there. I checked all the dealers in that area. There's a little corner back near where the PSA is back there. Check it. Check the interactive map, and you can actually click right on, and you'll see Ash's table. You'll see William Chapels. You'll see all those guys are all around that same area, at least from what I saw so far. So,
Yeah, isn't that where Mike Moynihan's
that.
friend Graig is back there too?
Yes,
over by
he's back in
PSA,
that
yeah.
same corner. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a bunch of big dealers that are back in that one little area. They're spread out too, but there just happens to be a bunch back in one corner near Ash's table.
And there's something to be said, and I kind of experienced it at the last National. So you have all of those big dealers, and those are the guys we're used to going to. When and again, it was a common card, so it's kind of not apples to apples. But when I bought my 56 Mantle, it was a guy off in the middle of nowhere. He wasn't in Vintage World. He just had a couple, and I thought I got just a fantastic deal on it based on the fact that he was kind of off on his own, off on the side, not a real huge dealer, and it worked out well for me. And so, I mean, there is something to be said to scoping out the entire show, because you never know what's going to be around the next corner. You know, we know Stan, and we know Ash, and we know Chapel, and we know Craig. You know, we know all of those guys. I almost kind of want to veer off and see what the heck else is out there. Like, is there some guy that we don't know about that's sitting in opposite corner that's just got all of these banger cards that we're missing out on? Or maybe
like for me last year, you know, like behind the corporate area was a bunch of other tables that you didn't even know that was there, because the corporate area just like had them covered up. And I just walked back there and to see what was there, and that's how I came across the table where I got my Mathewson at.
Yeah, well, the layout of Chicago sucks too, Dave. I mean, it was like a maze.
Well, they got the 25 floor plan for Chicago already out.
I will say that there's other guys that don't appear at Strongsville, but like, for example, I think he goes by Darby S. Dan McKee. Dan McKee has a huge eBay inventory of pre-war and vintage, and he always sets up at the National. And I mean, there's a lot of guys that are maybe not as recognizable that set up at the National, and are also good outlets for stuff that may not be easily found.
Hey, Orlando, I think Mooki just made a really good comment that I think that you would make a really amazing video on. If you were to go through the interactive map,
that's a great idea.
You were to kind of go through those dealers around Ash, because you know all those guys.
Yeah.
And you say, this is the guy who has a bunch of Cuban cards, and this is the guy who has a bunch of tobacco cards, and this guy is known for this and this. I think for national attendees, I would be sitting there like literally taking notes on what you were saying. Like,
that's a great
idea. Be fantastic.
Let me see if I can go through that and check it out. Yeah, at least
great.
the ones that I know.
Yeah. Hey, Orlando, also, what was the name of the dealer you got your cob from, the younger guy at Strongsville?
Oh, gosh.
It's
can't
the same
remember.
one Moynihan did the coin flip with?
Yeah, I have.
Oh, that's
Steve.
Steve.
The young
Sammy
guy
knows
that was
him.
with that kid
Steve,
that was helping out.
His name is Steve.
Steve.
Bilko, I think, or something like that. I have to look it up.
He's not going to be there, though, right, Sammy?
No, he's not setting up at the National.
Oh, okay.
I have all these cards from Strongsville, so I'm going to go through and kind of see what I can do. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're making me work, Mookie.
Yeah. But it's a good idea.
Greg, that dealer was the same guy who I bought those 56 Raws off of, and Sammy, and who else was there? There was a bunch of people buying off of him.
Yeah.
Mookie bought his Gil Hodges FaceTimed off of him, too.
He had some cards that he didn't price because he didn't want to sell them, but he did sell a few.
He was a good guy. I liked him.
Very nice guy.
He's good people, man. He'll be at the Philly show.
Well, I won't be, though.
No.
Well, listen, man, you want us to come to Burbank? Come to Philly, bro.
I'm going to Cleveland twice. I'm going to Cleveland twice in 5 months. Freaking Cleveland. No offense, Scott.
Oh, man.
Listen, man, come to Philly, man. City of brotherly love. You got a cheese.
Petty wouldn't do it.
Pay for your cheese.
Petty did not want it to say, I've gone to Cleveland twice in a year.
No.
I'm coming to Cleveland twice, too, man. We're all in the same boat.
We're all there. Hey, guys, I'm going to check off. All right? So I'll catch you next time or at the next live stream. We may do another one before we go.
All right. Awesome, Orlando.
Guys. See you guys soon.
Get to work on that video.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for the work.
All righty. Bye-bye.
So, Greg, to answer your question, just buy it. Buy your top card. Get your credit cards out. Buy that stuff. Don't tell your wife. You got all year to ask for forgiveness.
Don't tell
taking notes
wife.
there.
Yeah.
Tell
Yeah.
wife. Got it.
Yeah.
What other marriage tips do you have for me, Chris?
Well, just let her know when she's complaining a lot that I don't know. Don't listen to me.
Greg, do you remember when we were at Strongsville and that dog that Chris was just talking about? Do you remember what he said about his dog being the biggest?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He had the
CB.
dog on his lap just now.
You know why he's on my wife is in Canada right now.
Ah, okay.
And so the dog's all nice to me right now, but as soon as she comes back, like on Tuesday, dog's back to being an ass.
I hope there's no women listed, but I remember what Chris said. He said the dog is the biggest cock block he's ever seen.
That story when he told it and the way he told it was one of the highlights of the whole trip for me.
He said that dog gets up in bed, he won't let him get close to his wife.
My favorite is Chris saying, "Don't tell your wife. You know damn well she runs all the technology in that house. She knows where every nickel is for Chris."
Well, he's afraid that something bad is going to happen to him while she's out of the house, and I can just say he died of natural causes.
Yeah, I just remember, Greg, like on the card, the big issue. Remember the Hornsby card at Strongsville that you're looking at? Remember, you just weren't like quite sold on it.
Yeah,
you had to get you just weren't sure if that was the right one,
well, I was not sure on the 3.5.
Yeah.
And then as I was sitting there looking at a 3 and a 3.5, the 3 was much better than the 3.5. So I bought the 3.
Right.
So I was going back and forth on that card, but I ended up buying the lesser grade. And that's one of the whole other issues is how the numbers play with your head, because you're like, well, it must be better. I must be missing something because this one is clearly better. And then Orlando was right next to me. I was buying a 1950 Sammy Bowman. And I was looking at these two and I'm like, this one's better. And it's a lower grade. And I'm sitting there with our buddy Don and I'm sitting there with Orlando. And we're like, yeah, the lower grade's better. And it was just like, it messes with your head because you think I'm missing something. Like literally we all were looking at him.
Sorry guys, I got to make my exit.
We'll see you, Sammy.
Bon voyage.
See ya.
See you soon.
It's like when you know it's the right card, though, you know it's the right card. You know what I mean? Like I was looking at a 52 Warren Spawn, and I just wasn't sold on it. And Orlando looked at it and said, no, you can do better. And I kind of knew in my gut it wasn't the right one.
Yeah.
And that's not on the list, right, Craig? That's not on the list for this show, is it?
No. If it's there and it's the right one, I would probably do something with it. But that's like a tier 3 card. But
well, let's hope this trip is better than Strongsville. I know not everybody here was able to go to Strongsville, but we had such a great time there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hope this. Let's hope Thursday night is good. Friday night's better. Let's hope Friday night's good and Saturday night's better at this one. But,
Chris, if you're not talking in cursive by 10 o'clock at night, I don't want to hang out with you.
hey, if I remember the guys at Strongsville from Arkansas.
Yes.
I love those guys. I love them. So I hope they get to come.
That's phenomenal. All right, gentlemen, I think I'm going to duck out too. It's 10 o'clock by me, and I'm tired and old.
Well, I think it's time to wrap things up overall. So,
all right.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks, audience. We still got 64 people in here. That's crazy. So
that's because you know what? Chris is that good looking. That's all it is. So it's a given.
Yeah.
But thanks everybody for coming, and we will see you next time on 4 Collectors. Thanks everybody.
We'll see each other soon.
See you.
See you guys.